Hello, my name is Diana Loderhose. I'm International Features Editor here at Deadline. We are at our Red Sea studio here in Jeddah for the Red Sea Film Festival, and I'm delighted to be here today with director, writer, producer Omar Hilal, who is behind Egyptian box office success Voy, Voy, Voy. And this is Egypt's official entry into the Best International Feature Oscar race this year. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure to be here.
So, Omar, tell us a little bit. This is a crazy story inspired by true events, which is quite hard to believe, this film, Voy, Voy, Voy.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about the film and what inspired you to make it?
Yeah. I always wanted to do a film about immigration. There's something about Egyptians in general and a lot of the North Africans is that there's this desire to constantly move to Europe. So it was something that I always wanted to do because I grew up in a family that traveled outside of Egypt. Even my grandmother, to the generation of my grandmother, live in the UK. My parents moved to excuse me. My parents moved to Saudi. This was something that is in our. I lived in Italy at the beginning of my career, so the idea of making a story about people traveling, leaving Egypt, is something that I was attracted to. And then when I saw this piece of news, I saw it on Facebook. It was this hilarious piece of news that 13 Egyptians played blind and fled into Europe. They joined a team that is a blind football, the blind play football, which is not a sport that everybody knows. I didn't know it, at least. And they joined this team. They played blind, joined the team, and managed to get to Poland and fled. They're still on the loose. Yeah,
That's crazy.
the Interpol is still looking for
That
it.
is crazy. Well, why do you think, because it's been #1 at the box office in Egypt since its release in September.
Yeah.
What do you think about this film has spoken so well to local audiences? Why do people love this so much? What do you think?
I think that it's because it's a different kind of comedy than the comedy that they're kind of used to, but I think most importantly, it's the story. It's a story that rings true. Everybody has, at a certain stage of their life in Egypt, if not currently, wanted to get out to seek a better opportunity, not because there's political oppression or something of the sort, at least not now, but there was certainly during the time when this film is set, which was during the reign of the Muslim Brotherhood, which was not a very pleasant time at all for any Egyptian. And we all know the feeling of wanting to leave. So I think people like that, and it speaks the truth to them.
Mm-hmm. So these guys are still on the loose.
They're still on the loose.
You've never been in touch with them.
No, how could I?
But what would you say to them if they were watching this now? Or, I mean, some of them must know about this out there.
They must know, and I'm sure they're not very pleased. They're pretty terrified.
What would you say to them if you met any of them or could reach out to them?
I would honestly. There's a part of me that applauds their wit, but quite honestly, I think that a lot of what happens when these people go through illegal immigration is that they end up not living the life that they sort of imagine that they would. There's a lot of classism and racism that ends up happening especially when you are on an illegal immigration. You're living in the dark. You're not really well respected. So I imagine that a lot of them are probably dreaming. I mean, I was in New York recently screening the film, and a lot of the people that sell hot dogs now, famously with the recent events, sell the hot dogs are Egyptians. And the conversation that I heard as I was passing in front of one of the vans is somebody talking to his friend, and he's telling him, now he wants to go back home. I bet you he'll go back to Egypt, and then he'll come back begging to come back. So it's constantly the conversation. Yeah. Either the conversation is, I want to go out, or, you know what, I actually want to go back home. It's always going around.
How tricky was it? Because this is a deeply funny film when you watch it, and comedies so tricky,
Yeah.
as we know, especially and for them to work in international audiences is very even harder these
Yeah,
days.
yeah.
How how did you kind of balance that, these deep themes of immigration, people with disabilities, even though they're pretending they have them,
Yeah.
with
With comedy.
with comedy?
You know, when you read the headline, it's funny. You know, these guys who played blind to get away. It's just got and they succeeded. It just makes me laugh. It's so I had to keep that sense of comedy throughout the drama, and you know, when you're faking something and the audience knows you're faking, it's often funny. But it's that constant risk that he will get caught that keeps you on edge. It keeps it dramatic, but it keeps it funny at the same time. And the actors that are in the film are quite funny. You know, and I played against what a lot of them are used to. They're used to saying, these sort of funny one-liners. And I said, no, guys, this is not the kind of film that I'm trying to make. I'm trying to make a dark comedy, not a laugh-out comedy.
So I wanted to ask you. So you spent some of your childhood here in Saudi Arabia,
Yeah.
and we are here in Jeddah.
Yeah.
Third year of the festival. Egypt has a very long and historied culture of cinema, whereas it's much newer here. There's
Yeah.
it's brand new. What would you say whilst you're here? What are you going to say if you meet some of these young filmmakers? What kind of words of advice do you offer to aspiring filmmakers
I
here in
think
Saudi?
that Saudi Arabia, and I said this last year when I came here, I think that within 3 or 4 years maximum, if not already, we're going to have some really good films coming out of Saudi Arabia because there are thousands of stories that are not told. I grew up here. I grew up in an Arabic school in Saudi Arabia. And there is so much in this culture. They're funny people. The Saudis are funny people. They have a very good sense of humor. And there's so much that's been, untold over these years that it's going to explode. And there's a lot of talent. You see any of their small comic sketches, there's famous Tilfaz 11. They're funny. They make really funny stuff. And Saudi Arabia is full of cultures from other places. From Asia, from the rest of the Arab world, from the West. So all of this, it's like a melting pot of a lot of cultures, and there's a lot of references. So I think it's going to be good, and if I have any words for them, it's just like, hone your scripts. It's gonna click. I mean, I saw a film from Saudi called Wajda, but that was like years ago.
I remember that.
I
Great film.
remember seeing it in a Beirut Film Festival. And I mean, there was a standing ovation to the film. It was excellent, a really excellent film.
Omar, thank you so much for being here with us today. Enjoy
My
the festival.
pleasure. Thank you very much. Thank you.